he's recording as well. So I'm recording. We'll see if, or not Nate, Neil's able to do this. All right, it's 3 p.m. I'm planning on getting going soon here. I just need confirmation from Mr. McSpadden that that he's recording as well. Just because there's some cool things to talk about today, and I don't want to. I'll be in deep trouble if there's anything wrong with this recording. The joke in the PalNet community is that I'm literally the worst DJ ever. So I don't do these things to make trouble or anything like that. It's just that I'm the worst. All right, Neil is saying that he's recording, so that's great. I'm Aggroed. It is now 3 p.m. on Friday. It is the 25th of September in 2020, and I've just had a killer week. Really happy about things. Just feel like just a lot of winning. Right now, there's just a lot of winning. So I'm feeling wonderful. I did press the button. So life is really good. I'm excited for where we're heading, and so there were a couple contracts that I was waiting for, and they finally came in. So one of them, we're going to be doing a event. We're going to go sponsor we're going to sponsor a convention. So Nate, would you mind dropping the graphic that you built for Digicon? We're gonna go host a digital convention. We're using a software tool called GamerJibe, and it's going to allow us to host a virtual convention. And we're going to do it monthly, but the convention itself will be a persistent environment. Yeah, thanks for sharing that image. The first one's going to happen on Halloween from noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now that I've been doing this in this industry for a couple years now, I really do have enough contacts to put together what I think of as a fun party. So we'll get people from finance, which will include kind of a whole bunch of startups in the space. Gaming, there's other games like our friends with the like Sandbox and Gala and others like Axie Infinity. All the guys that are part of the Ubisoft accelerator that we're in, I'll be inviting them as well. So we're gonna go build that. Yeah, I'll be sure to invite Joel and the bad crypto team. It's been long enough where I really have enough friends in this industry that I can reach out and get a bunch of people here, give them some free booth space because you have electronic booths. And I feel like this is going to be a great way for us to make connections to both help other games get off the ground and maybe even some funding, because I know that the Blockchain Founders Fund has agreed to come. And they both have funds and also incubate startups. And even if they don't have like direct funds at times, by being part of their incubation, like Splinterlands was able to go save $100,000 in server costs from Amazon because of their partnership. So even if they don't cut you a check, they could save you $100,000. So there's good stuff here. And we have enough friends to kind of pull this off. So I think I'm going to start doing not just one AMA, but 2 AMAs. And I guess it's not really an AMA, but it'll be like a planning session. And I really want people from the community to feel like they can help shape and direct the future of what this conference will look like. So that's one of the big pieces of news. The second piece of news, I'm being asked to tease a little bit, but I signed one of the contracts that I've been talking about for a while is geared towards user acquisition, and it's with quite a large company. They're in the millions and millions of users, and we're signed on with them for a promotional deal. And I'm still going to be. They've asked me to be coy. I was hoping to even talk about it this week. Some of you might be able to go figure this out, um, but yeah, we signed an agreement with a company that has access to millions of people that will get Splinterlands in front of them, and I'm excited for it. That the program should be starting in early October, so you'll get a lot more eyeballs on this project starting then. So we're being. I know I'm being a little bit coy. I was hoping to be a little stronger with this, but I was asked to hold off. Um, yeah, I mean it's in early October that we're starting. So um, I asked the target start date is right after the hard fork because I really don't want to point people here and have hard fork problems. But as soon as this hard fork 24 is over, we're going to point people to Splinterlands in front of this giant audience, and it should be amazing. Um, so I'm really excited. Even something as small as like a 1% conversion um, would be a multiple of how many people currently play. So um, so that should be amazing. I'm stoked, and I think it's going to be a game changer for our game and this community. And if you see a lot of new faces around here, kindly be as kind as you can, be welcoming, and this is really one of the best communities around. And I hope that as we add new players to it, that we're able to maintain that. So I'm stoked. I'm sorry that's a little bit vaguer than I meant to, but the contract is signed. It starts in early October. There'll be more details soon, but we're going to get exposure to millions of people. So that's kind of the big news. A little bit of a little bit of still a little bit of teaser because I was asked to do that, but it's coming. I was asked. They said, "Hey, look, we want to do when we announce. We don't want it to be announced in the future. We want to announce that it's starting." So, um, I mean, this is I'm still teasing. I didn't mean to tease today. I was asked specifically to wait until we get closer to the start in early October. Um, but yeah, I want you guys to know the deal is signed. It's happening. We have a promotional channel to millions of people. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Um, okay, so that's is that all of my news? There's probably other things that have slipped my mind. I was able to meet with Matt today, um, but Ron Paul news. What's wrong with Ron Paul news? But so I was able to meet with Matt, and we keep. There were some more tweaks that we made to land, but we're feeling better about it. We are planning to launch land in October, so there's some nice things. There's some nice things happening where the sort of promotional things that we're working on and the product things that we're working on are coming together at exactly the same time. And I think that bodes really well for us. We keep making new partnerships. The recent ability that Matt figured out with some contractors and with the dev team to incorporate ERC20s is great. How happy am I about that deal on a scale of 1 to 10? I mean, it's a 10. I, um, Matt and I will look at these things differently. He'll say it's a 1 until anything happens, and I think, man, this thing is amazing, and I'm stoked. So, Land's presale is set to happen before the end of October. The first presale. There's likely to be several presales. Just as we don't want to sell everything at a giant discount. We're going to sell things at a discount because we won't be public because we're still working on pieces of just exactly how things will work. So the people that are getting in early, I hope that some people are going to say, oh, it's just for the discount. Well, the discount is there because we can't give you as much information as we want. So There are some pieces you might not know all the details, and that's really why you're getting the discount. The discount is coming from the lack of certainty that we're providing. Um, is land-based guild building stuff happening same time as land pre-sale? Yeah, the lands, the guild wars. Let's see. Just for general product roadmap, the we're finishing up the collection power stuff. There's a small phase 4 that we're doing where we're basically tying collection power into tournament systems as well. Um, I know that there's some frustration around collection power, but um, it has done amazing things for inflation. I mean, we've shrunk overall dark energy crystal inflation by 30 million per month, and then maybe even after tournaments, we'll see that even be larger of just how much um, we've cut the inflation. So congratulations to all the people that were able to take advantage of that for the first 2 years of our existence. That's a real benefit to you. And congratulations to everybody going forward that the inflation isn't set as high, and your cards are getting diluted far less every single day because of that. So let's go. I have some questions up at the top here. So I'm gonna go through and answer these to the best of my ability. I think it's just this. So Marjenko is asking, and I see it repeated. He has some questions, and I actually just want to say I appreciate Marjenko putting questions in advance because it gives us some stuff to talk about here. More of an idea: can and when we get the option to trade cards on the site directly? Now we only have a market button. It would be cool to add a trade button for trade cards to trade cards for cards, and maybe the fee for the transaction will be paid in dark energy crystals. So one of the names for this thing is a trade binder, and I would love to see a trade binder happen. Um, on a separate note, Hive Engine is launching a thing called BChat. BChat allows applications to build chat directly into what they're doing. I'm hoping that we'll find a fit for that at Splinterlands as well, which then means that you guys could go communicate directly in the app to go talk about the cards that you would hope to trade. So I don't know that, the challenge with us is that even the best ideas don't necessarily get put in place right away. Like we have some legacy things that we've been promising. So after this collection power, the next thing that we're really working on is is Guild Wars, and really trying to get that done and live, and guilds battling one another for what we're calling internally. It probably won't stay this way, but we're calling it guild faction points. And as you earn those faction points, you'll be able to spend them in the game, and really a lot of it will tie into the land expansion as well. So the things that you're getting in the Guild War will help you in the land expansion to either produce things faster or spend less resources, or there's lots of different ways that they can help. Um, so so I like the idea of a trade binder. I want to implement an idea of a trade binder. We have some development priorities and promises that are there prior to that. So like that's on the list. We want to implement it, and then we'll see when can we get it in. Because we have a lot of things that we've been promising and working on. If I tell Randolph that, hey, we're not going to work on boss fights right now, and we're going to go put in this trade binder function first, I think he'll slap me, and I like to be slap free. So so that's what I'm feeling. We got to deliver on the things that we've been promising. We have a pretty clear roadmap and a good amount of work done to get there. So next up, it's the same kind of thing. We want a renting button direct on the site. Matt and I have talked about this. We're in favor of it. So both of these are things that we should go put tasks for Nate to design, and whenever they get designed and whenever the front end team has a spare moment to go implement, we should get them in place. So these are definitely great ideas, great suggestions, and it's really about what do we have the bandwidth to do. So that's where we are with that one. And then I got to scroll down a bunch and see what other things. What's this about integrating ERC20s? Are you talking about buying the Summoner Spellbook for credits? Yeah, with the ERC20s is it's actually twofold. So one, we can accept ERC20s as payment, and two, we can pay out ERC20s for like tournament prizes. You can go link your Ethereum wallet, and we can pay out. So I think that's a really exciting opportunity. It's a little bit frustrating because the land is, or not the land, the gas fees are like through the roof. So how we're gonna circumvent that? I mean, we might need if we're doing ERC20 tokens as payments. Maybe that's a more select tournament where there's only 8 winners, so that the majority of the money goes to the winners rather than to miners on Ethereum. Miners, being adults. What's this about integrating? Oh, next up is land-based building stuff happening same time as land pre-sale. Yeah, the land-based guild building stuff is like they're happening simultaneously, but they're at different stages. So when we're doing this work, there's a design stage that's like the mental exercise, and then there's a design stage that's like actually putting down into designs and like a user experience and a user interface of what that whole thing will look like. So we're at the building all of the land and trying to see what that experience will be like. We're designing the sort of pen and paper aspect of that. And for guilds, we're further along. So we're not like designing the core mechanics as much as we are actually trying to figure out what the graphics are and the buttons you push and the order things that happen in. So they're happening simultaneously, but they're at different stages in the development. Question: the land presale will have a 50% discount, if I recall, and another 15% if you buy 100 plots at once. Will the discount be 15% off the price or 15 additional plots? You've got that right, at least in the current design. So Matt yells at me whenever I use numbers because he says, "Oh, the design can change and the players will have it in their brain at any time." So as we've announced previously, the plan is to have in the first pre-sale a 50% discount. If you're buying packs below 100, for each 10 packs, you'll get one bonus pack or one bonus land. Sorry, I should call it land. And it won't even start as land. It'll start as claims, right? Because it's going to take a while to go turn our claims into actual plots because there's some development that's going to have to happen with this too. So then, if you're buying 100 plots at once, then we get rid of the idea of the bonus plot, and now it goes to a 15% discount. And if you buy 1,000 plots at once, then it's a larger discount. So I should add that it's possible that these things will change, but now we've said them two or three times. So every time that we state it, it's less likely that those particular numbers will change. So as it stands right now, you need 7.5 million dark energy crystals or credits if you would like to go purchase a full 1,000 plot group. And I would like to know the inflation rate for SPT and if that has been documented anywhere. Looking forward to SPT being implemented more into the game. Yeah, that's another one of these of like, we want this to be part, and we know that it's like, I really think that the integration of tribes with products is critical for growth because now we're doing micro incentives to everybody to blog about the game and share it and put it everywhere. So that's I think that's why we've been able to grow as much as we've had, and I think it's only going to get bigger and more important as we kind of go from building the brick and mortar of the game to really start scaling the game, which is what I think that transition happens in October, where we're not done building the game, and we're really just starting that process of pushing towards mass onboarding. So as we move into that, the SPT I think gets more and more important, and so we'll be adding that to the roadmap. But again, it's always like, all right, we have to go build a new screen, we have to go implement it, we have to go make sure that there's prizes that you can win, and what do they impact, how do they work. There's a lot of planning, and a lot of that I think will interact with the lands expansion, and we're still developing the lands expansion. So these kinds of things are happening a little bit in an iterative process. So I know everybody wants everything to happen faster, but we do have a small team, and we really do go as quickly as we can. And I think once the collection power is done, we got this last, at least currently, we're planning just this last relatively small push, or maybe one more sprint. Maybe it's two, but I'm hoping it's just one more sprint to get the collection power done and really just start focusing on Guild Wars. So that hopefully gives you a sense. Is that a new feature to slap aggroed? No, my salty friend Quantum Nachos. Can we please have some sort of holiday edition cards? Like Matt and I really want to go do more promotions and get those kinds of things rolling. But we're gonna also do, like, lands is in October, so it's kind of funky to think like, hey, we're gonna push this new card and we're gonna push this new land. I don't know. We try to be cognizant of like how many promotions or things that we do to like goose players. So we kind of think of it as once a quarter we'll go do some promotion. It's not a hard fast date, but that's roughly what we have in our minds right now. So we'll see. I don't know. I do like the idea of holiday edition cards. Maybe closer to Christmas when we're not like rolling out land as like our big promotion for that time. So I could see that happening more around Christmas and New Year and Hanukkah and the end of year celebrations. Question: when buying multiple plots of land, like 1,000 pieces, how will a human be able to manage 1,000 plots of land? Have you thought about that and what the time requirement will be for the people that buy many hundreds of plots? Yeah, I mean it's certainly something to think about as you're building your empire. This is part of why I think that having the renting function is going to be so important. That maybe what you're doing is you're acting more like the landlord and letting the tenants do a lot of the development, because a lot of the buildings we're planning to have summoners and monsters working in the buildings. So you're gonna need a bunch of these different cards to go interact with the buildings to make sure that they're producing as much as possible. So maybe you'll do it all. I mean, what's amazing about this is that you guys will be the ones earning. And if you've noticed, like the secondary market, the cards get valued in the millions. You guys are going to be the ones that get to make all these cards. So those cards have value. We won't be selling you those cards. You guys will be building those cards and you'll be selling them. So if there's millions of dollars of value at stake, then I think that you guys will figure out ways to make sure that your land is productive and you are doing your best to, deal with the rule changes that Splinterlands likes to put into the game. That, it's not going to be set and forget. It's going to be, different weather effects and different climates and different seasons and whatever else we can throw at you guys is going to go change what cards are going to be the best. And you guys are going to have to think through the strategy of how do you min-max all your buildings to get the most out of them. So that I think will be a big part of this, and you'll be incentivized to do it. And maybe you'll be individually managing 1,000. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be renting them. I think that's going to be a bunch. I think this is not just my opinion. The renting button must become priority. This is why. For new players, too much stuff to learn to make it happen. So for the too much stuff to learn to make it happen, that's actually why we're doing new player tutorials and really focusing on that. Player, I don't know what that word is. More profit for splinterlands. Yeah, we don't really make money on renting. The ability to rent means that people will want cards, which does end up getting us more revenue. Like there's more utility and they're passive income generators, so that's great. And believe me, I'm not telling you it's not high priority. It's just that we've been making promises that we're now really starting to get to the point where we can deliver on those. And after we deliver on those, this is exactly the kind of stuff that we want to be implementing. But again, if I tell Randolph, hey, look, we're punting on boss fights so that we can build renting. I don't think that's fair to the people that we've been talking to. So if Nate can squeeze it in, great, and then hopefully the devs can squeeze it in. That would be amazing. But it's got to be kind of in this like hurry up and wait. I got a little window. Let's go put that together attitude. So I'm not telling you no. I'm saying it's awesome, and we plan to do it. It's just a matter of when it gets in there. Yeah, there will be a lands dashboard. Am I really at the end of questions here? Wow, that's great. What about the Hearthstone where there's a battle? You do right when you sign up to learn how to play. Yeah, I mean that's what the new player tutorial is. It's really trying to walk people through the new gaming experience. So a couple people joined late. I'm sorry to be a little bit coy about the announcement that I planned on making even stronger than I had in the past. But we have a signed contract. We have a signed contract with a big media company with millions of users that will be promoting Splinterlands to them. And that company asked me to be a little bit coy with what we're doing. So I'm going to honor that. We're planning on launching this new experience and promotion in early October. So, as planned, we're just a couple weeks away. And I think this will have, some very strong benefits to user growth. We'll see. There's never any promises. This is all an experiment. But the theory here is that by working with an organization that has already aggregated millions of users and then pointing this game towards those millions of users, that we'll be able to grow. So I'm hoping that will be a good experience for folks. No, I can't tell you what the company rhymes with. What about the ambassadors? I basically put ambassadors on hold until COVID nonsense is over. I'm hoping that, that it's not too far away, but who knows? I mean, a lot of these states are in lockdown. A lot of these businesses aren't even open. Are recommended to their player base. Did you pay? Yeah, I'm gonna leave some of the details. So, Dave, you are welcome to ask that question again. When we start announcing, it'll be clearer of what's coming. So, yeah, it's possible that maybe just 10,000 people sign up. You guys can, everybody gets to make their own prediction. I don't know what the prediction will be. I have some numbers that I model personally based off of the Wombat experience. This thing is like a much bigger Wombat, so I have some numbers in my head. But who knows what it'll be? Who knows how good this audience will be and how good the fit would be? But yeah, I mean, even just even just a small percentage will end up going a huge way. So, right. So this is what a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. When marketing, and the problem has always been like, if the game isn't ready for marketing, then we just spend a lot of money on marketing, and the money is out the door, but we didn't get the benefit. So I know people have been impatient for this, and we're impatient for this. But we kind of had to get the game in a space where it could grow, and we had to be ourselves in a place where we could grow the economy and grow the player base and be able to handle the onboarding. And it's taken a whole bunch of these little pieces and development while building everything else to be able to get there. So, um, so I'm excited. I mean, I think that this is going to be really, really good and good news for us. Um, so anyways, I can't tell you what it'll be. I don't have a stat that I can throw at you of exactly how many new players it'll be, but the audience is millions, and we're getting in front of them, and should be fun. So the Stealth Trader is asking, did it say is the first or end of October? So there's two parts to this. The promotional side of things is at near the beginning of October, and the land sale or the land pre-sale is at closer to the end of October. So um, so it's kind of both. Where are you on the new player tutorial? Is there any ETA on that yet? So I think we're like halfway done with the design. Nate might be able to answer that question a little bit more. But I've seen like 18 or 24 slides of this. There's still more like talking through how the battle goes. Um, and I think that's it. So there's still more work to do, um, but like the hardest part is like getting the first slides of that done and really like futzing with it to make sure that it shows up how we want it to and it looks nice and the developer and the designer and the content are all sort of in agreement. And I think we're at that point. So now it's still about kind of cranking out more of these things. Um, we can talk about customer acquisition cost last time. I just want to know, how is that coming up? Still over $6? Well, I kind of don't think that just customer acquisition cost is what really matters, because we can structure deals a couple different ways. It's really about customer retention from the players that we get and their willingness to spend in this economy. And I don't just mean spend with us. I mean, are they willing to like buy cards off the market from you guys? So some of these players we can get fairly inexpensively, but then they don't always spend. I think what we're seeing is that some of the players that are coming from other communities that are already part of blockchain, and so like how much of the benefit of blockchain we have to describe is much less, so that they're easier to sort of get on board. Um, so generally speaking, I think it's under $6. But that's kind of a fake number because the people that we get in for under $6 won't all spend. And with some of these deals, it's not about spending money; it's about sharing revenue that comes in. Um, and so that way, we're not like paying out huge amounts of cash up front and getting into cash troubles as a business. It's more revenue driven. So I think that'll be good. Question: has Matt updated the system to actually sustain more users? I know that was a concern and sticking point in the past. Is there a theoretical max that Matt has figured out for the current system? So yeah, we keep doing as much as we can. A lot of Matt's time has gone from like developing the game and parts of the game in terms of like content and new battles, and he's really been focused on scaling this thing. So like one of the last pieces that we're putting in place um, is really geared towards just allowing lots and lots of players to be on board and what that might look like. Um, so it's a big undertaking, and we've been honestly he's been working on it for months, and really separating the functions of all the different parts of the game into as many different servers as possible, so that there's as little like bottlenecks of processing time as possible. Because like the block time being 3 seconds is awesome, but it also means that we only have 3 seconds to process everything in a single block, and that we can run into that timeline real quick if we don't separate out all the different thought processes into different servers to do it. And that's been a lot of what Matt's been working on, is making sure that and maybe I should probably let him answer this because it's possible that I'm not describing it exactly accurately, but the main goal, at least in general, the main goal is how do we want to be the first game to mainstream, and then what are the technological things that we have to do to make sure that we get there. And I can assure you that before we said yes to let's go do this big user acquisition plan, um, you know, Matt, in his very diligent and thoughtful way, went through and said, "This is what I think it takes, and are we there, or will we be there by when it starts in early October?" And our answer was yes. So now it's finally time. It's finally time to get there. Yeah, exactly. Neil's saying better be done before advertising to millions. Um, yeah, I mean the we with the amount of transactions that we do per day, we're doing 500 or 600,000 transactions, uh, and if we get a lot more players, there'll be a lot more. So, um, we're going to have to find out all the different little bottlenecks and see how we treat them. Like how much Hive we have staked might end up being part of this, especially if people are new users. We might end up, if they give us lots of tokens, and we might need to be able to support more and more bandwidth for more and more new players. So we might end up being like buyers of Hive. We'll see. We'll see what all of this looks like. We can model a million things, but until you get into performance, you won't quite know with blockchain. So we think we can scale. We think we're in a good spot, but it's going to be a little crazy. But Monster Jam Gold is saying I will delegate you some Hive. I mean, it's possible that we need Hive delegated to us for the onboarding. At which point we might do something like delegate us some Hive, and you can get some Halloween cards. Like there's ways to solve this so that not everything has to be a cash outlay, so that the business has enough money to survive and keep operating and growing and build other partnerships. So I know the real CEC number can produce with all those other things put together. As you said, to get a player and to spend money is a little bit trickier. My advice is to Cambridge Analytica. Okay. Um, yeah, well, we've looked at data science and hiring data scientists. We keep looking at more ways to track data. Um, Again, it's not the highest priority because we put kind of the promises to players at the highest. Um, but once we get through, the next couple months, and we're further along and got the long term promises off of our back, and we can look our players in the eye and say, this is what we told you we build, and we've built it. Sorry it took so long, but hopefully you think it's awesome, and there's more to come. Then that will really free up our roadmap to put in not just great ideas, but great ideas that we have time for and can put them in. So, I want to see these things happen, but we got to be careful. Do you think this game will go mainstream and become a staple card game? I mean, I love this game, and not only do I love the game, I love this community, and I love the opportunity that we can provide for people, and I like how there's no gas fees where we are, because I feel like that those high gas fees basically price out groups of people that would honestly be the ones to benefit from how we built this the most, or at least maybe if they're not even benefiting the most, it would have the greatest impact on their lives. And if we don't build to allow that, then that's a travesty to me. So yeah, I guess our plan is to be the first game to mainstream from the blockchain space. I think we're set to do that, or as set as anybody else. I mean, I was when I was talking to Ubisoft, I was asking, when do you guys start considering a game to not just be some like little pet project or oh that's neat, but actually kind of cool and something worth exploring? and he said when we're at 50,000 monthly active users. So, I know we're on the radar for Ubisoft because we're part of their accelerator, and I talked to their guys and gotten some good advice from whole bunches of people, from legal to the guys over at M&A, meaning mergers and acquisitions, and game studios and or like people who have built other game franchises and rules and mechanics and monetization. There's a bunch of different people that I've had the opportunity to talk with. Um, but now I have that one number in my head. I got to get up to 50,000 monthly active users to kind of get on the big guys' radar. So that's my current heading, because that's kind of like the game's quinceañera or something, right? That's when like we come on the stage, that we are presentable to the big folks that are out there. That's not the end game, but that's really where we've gone out of our startup, just try to survive this crazy ass blockchain world, to okay, I think we've really made it, and now we're here as a thing, and now it's just how do we push even further than yes, we've made it and we still survived, to how do we make it so that everybody feels the need to participate as quickly as they can. And by that, again, I don't just mean buy cards from Splinterlands, because you guys are the ones in the land expansion who are going to be making the cards. So I want it so that they feel the need to come here and buy the items and spells from you. And that to me is just a mind-boggling change. There are folks that really don't like the land expansion. Oh, it's a money grab, and you guys are the worst. But in my brain, it's all about empowering the community to take advantage of and really be the prime recipient of the money that is generated by playing the game. And so I think it's a money grab, but it's one that you guys get to do. And we'll have market fees and other things, but I really think that the primary beneficiaries of the long-term success of this will be the players themselves. And that to me and Matt is the dream. We want you guys to be successful. The traditional games are like, how do I get as much money out of players as possible? And here it's how do I ensure that the players are getting as much value as possible? And that mentality shift, hopefully you'll see that, and hopefully you'll benefit from that, because that's important to us. Shark Tank. Yeah, I know Shark Tank has been on the radar. I have some application somewhere, but that's one of the good ones. That's a good idea. It just hasn't made it to the top of my list yet. Dave's on a roll here. Now, since you've seen the success of paying out more people by expanding the top level of each of the various leagues, have you considered paying more places in tourneys so that people can win in them? So the I get a little triggered by the tourneys conversation, so I'll do my best here. So phase 4 of the collection power is really about adjusting tournaments so that the kind of waste that we were seeing in the ranked season, we also remove out of the tournaments. And then once the tournaments are done, I want to go look at them for another couple weeks and see, okay, we've implemented this. How did it impact the numbers? Because again, I can try to predict these things all day long, and then what it looks like in production on a blockchain is oftentimes different than what we're modeling. So we want to go see that in real time. So I think we still have another month or so of having the same tournament structures we have now, but towards the end of that month, it's my plan to sort of invite players into some formal meetings and talk about structures, limitations, and how we want to do this. Long-term ideas, and these are just ideas, but I guess I'll seed them a little bit, is kind of are there ways to build in some governance so that it's not the players telling us we want different tournament styles and payouts and whatnot, but it's tournaments or the players using dark energy crystals to change how those payouts might look. Um, so that's down the road, but that's the kind of like, um, let's have it less be the Splinterlands team deciding what that distribution is, and more about letting the community decide what that distribution is. Um, and when you do it, you would like burn some tokens so that even if you're annoyed and you don't like the change, you'll say, oh, well, at least they burned X many dark energy crystals, which helps the rest of us. So there's some funny things we can do. I'm seeding that idea. That's like super early stage. Who knows where that goes? But that's the kind of thing that we've been tossing around because like I personally don't like the experience of players saying this is fair, this is unfair, you should do it that way, you shouldn't do it that way, and having that go through me. I mean, I recognize you guys bought cards, so you're allowed to have those opinions, but I don't like that I'm the gatekeeper of that, and I'd rather allow the community to be a gatekeeper of that within some boundaries that don't break the game. So. Um, so I'm seeding an idea. Who knows when that gets implemented or if that gets implemented, but that's the kind of thing that Matt and I think about in terms of how do we decentralize decision making for what the game looks like. Question: how about Untamed and Dice Ladder? Yeah, if we grow a lot, uh, this kind of gets back to that too of like I don't have the numbers off the top of my head after collection score. Prior to collection score, tournaments represented something like 10% of the dark energy crystals that went out, and half of that was dedicated to the current edition. So in 95% of the matches, you guys were able to use whatever cards you wanted, and then in 5% of the matches, you were restricted to using Untamed. And I expanded my internal definition from Untamed to current edition. So this is that constant battle between new players and old players. That new players really just want it to be the current edition because that's the fairest structure for them. That you don't have to have been here for years when cards might have been more affordable to be able to participate in tournaments and not just get wrecked. By having these Untamed tournaments, and with the dice too, but really the current edition tournaments, I feel like that provides a level playing field. But part of what we love about these games and the collections is that it's not a level playing field. You have been here forever. So we want to make sure that there's some advantage to having been here forever and having your cards forever, but not such a strong advantage that it destroys the incentive to start building up a deck from scratch, in year 3 of the project. So that's a hard balance, and we sit in the middle of that. And players on both sides, oh, you don't do enough for new players. Ah, you're not doing enough for old players, and there's one reward pool that we have to try to balance with that, and we do our best. So I think one of the things that limits us in the ranked season, because I know that we have some thoughts that even in the ranked season, we should be having like the current edition and then all editions, so that new players have a space and the old school gamers have a space. But I think we're still too small right now to do that. But if this partnership goes well and we expand a lot, then that's easily something that I could see happening. What am I doing? Question: is there some way in which prevent lands from adding to the cost barrier to entry? Yeah, I mean, you rent cards, you rent lands. Maybe you skip the lands and just get the items and spells, and maybe you skip getting items and spells and you just rent them, and you rent them from each other. And maybe you're not geared all the time towards I need to get to champion 1 and I have to be the best and I'm gonna get everything. you gotta set some sights and say, all right, well, my next goal is getting to silver one out of bronze, and you take your time to accumulate what you can do. Question: are sit and go tournaments in the works, like smaller tournaments that start when full? You guys can start those whenever. I mean, if you guys want to start building them, you can do it. I put one or two in the place and didn't really get any action on it. So I put up my money personally to go do some anytime tournaments and have a small registration fee, and they didn't fill. So I know that there's like a handful of vocal players about it, but I don't know. We kind of moved away from the model. But I do think that there's more. There's some other tournaments and more prize pools that I think can be enabled as we grow. With like partnerships with Sand and partnerships with Gala and partnerships with game credits. There's people that are going to be willing to put their own tokens and NFTs and ecosystems into pots to get our players' attention. Right now we're the biggest, but it's still not big enough to really like support that. But who knows? Maybe after this partnership and more user acquisition, there's more and more willingness by other parties to be like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to run a tournament here with my goods because we need to grow, and they have a big enough audience. So that's on the list. Would you fund NASCAR tournament prizes to add a level play option? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I don't have an answer to that. I need to go get through. I need data on kind of how much waste did we cut, and if we cut a lot of waste, where do we put that to gain the most benefit for players? And I don't think that's not an answer that I want to come up with entirely by myself. I really want the community to be a part of that, and sort of let you guys hear from newer players, players that have a lot of stake, players that don't have a lot of stake, players that have early editions, players that only have late editions, players with gold foils, player with no foils. There's part of what makes this environment so fun is that everybody has a different collection, so they all have different incentives, and it's kind of all of these people battling for, I want my incentive prioritized. So I look forward to having like some kind of group discussion, something like this, but where the mute function is off, and you guys can speak about what's important to you, and just kind of integrating you guys into this. Third time asking question. This question? I don't think I saw this question before. Is there any other deck syncs planned after Guild Wars and Land? I mean, Guild Wars and Land are going to provide tons of deck syncs. So, but yeah, I mean, everything we do is really geared around staking dark energy crystals, spending them or staking them. That's a really big deal. You stake them as cards, right? And then you can play them. But yeah, I don't want to explain all the mechanics just yet because Matt and I haven't settled on them. But I can assure you there's a lot of need for dark energy crystals going into the future. Marchenko, he's just going nuts today. Another idea: can player who has been fighting from the start become status prehistoric? Yeah, we've been the titles aren't front and center, but the whole your inventory is getting revamped, and as part of the expansion, the titles have more roles. So we'll think about some of those. Any mobile stats to share? Usage device, percent new users? Not really, but the mobile stats to share. No, but we're still waiting. I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear that the mobile app has been submitted to the Google Play Store. So that's planned for this month. There's not that many days left. So hopefully that's pretty soon. And ideally it corresponds really well with this whole user acquisition thing. Would be that's a lot of fun. Inventory dashboard ETA. I actually don't know that off the top of my head. I know it's being parts of it are being designed and implemented. I don't know where that is right now. That's kind of a Matt question. When are we going to have Splinterfest? Splinterfest is happening. So for the folks that missed it, Nate, maybe you'll post that image again. But we're doing an online conference, and we're going to do it monthly. And the first one is happening on Halloween. So starting next week, I'm going to start inviting everybody here that wants to participate in planning that event. And so I can talk about that more. But I signed the contract for that. I know that Blockchain Founders Fund will be there. The SAND team will be there. Gala Games will be there. And I think that there's others that I've invited or plan to. But like literally, I signed the contract yesterday and already have some phenomenal partners. Planning on inviting startups to it so that they can pitch. I mean, I think there's a lot of good that will happen out of this thing. So hopefully you guys will join us for Digicon, and that'll happen on the 31st in a virtual conference room space. I can see. I think there's one question. Let me go log into my phone. I'm recording this, so I gotta log in separately so that I don't expose anybody's stuff. Okay, so what else do I have? So those are the big things. The starting early in October, our promotional kickoff will happen, and it should be a big deal. And starting in later October, the land presale goes live, and so save up your dark energy crystals. This stuff is happening, people. And actually, already some people are. I mean, I know that the game has bought a bunch of dark energy crystals, but there's a lot of player activity here too. So that's pretty exciting to see people load up. But there's not enough dark energy crystals for everybody. So push and shove, guys. If you want land at a 50% discount with dark energy crystals at a cheap discount, go look at the market. There's not tons for you to grab. And again, the lands are designed. I know that there's some voices out there that are frustrated with us, but I don't think that they get the point. I don't think that they get the magic of this. The magic of this is that the cards that we have produced and sold have generated millions of dollars of value. And we are saying, well, you know what? Rather than us sell them, let's let the players make the things that are worth millions of dollars. And if you think that that's a money grab and that we're a bunch of jerks for doing it, then I don't think that it's quite connecting how we are enabling you to make your own cards. And I don't remember my childhood youth where I went and I was able to print my own physical cards to play in a game that were like canon and accepted, but that's exactly what this is. Yep. Neil is ending. So I'm gonna call this the end. I'm really excited, guys. I know that Matt's excited. We have a great land expansion, some wonderful promotional events, both for marketing on October 31st, the first kind of Splinterfest. It's more like Digicon so that it's friendly for everybody, not just named Splinterfest, but an online virtual conference. I'm going to I'll put out in the announcements areas where you can join us for the next meeting that'll be specific about that event, and we can kind of co-plan it together. And early October, that's when our marketing channels start. So I couldn't be more excited. I really like the partner that we got. I've been asked to be quiet about it for just a little bit while longer, but I can tell you the plan is to start in early October, right after the hard fork, or at least when the hard fork is nice and settled. So I don't know. That's what I got for you. I say this every time, but it oftentimes makes me teary. I am so grateful to this group. I know that you guys like to give me hell, but I couldn't ask for a better audience or a better group of people. And my ask for you is when new players start coming, please be at your best. Please welcome them, be kind to them, and um, help them feel like they're here. So you guys are great. I appreciate it. Um, and this should be one hell of a year end. So thank you all for being here. I feel blessed, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.